To Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how.
Having a hell of a time doing it.
Laughing every step of the way.
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture.
Welcome back to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. The weather is changing.
I feel like that's like, are we half weather women? Every time we podcast, we're like, here's the weather today.
I know. I think it's because we live outside so much and we get so much energy from like the sun and grounding and
weird.
Yeah. So weird. So weird.
Okay. So today we did an episode where we talked about how I went on a date.
You did.
And I love how like joyous and happy that was. Mm-hmm. And I quickly like, I hate it here.
Because you've been on a bunch more now.
We've been on a bunch more now and it's great. He's great. Mm-hmm. My brain, on the other hand, not so much.
She's a little fucked up.
She's a bit of a bitch. We don't like her very much. No, which is okay. We're going to give him lots of credit. I said that. I was like, I hate this brain. This brain is stupid. I want a new one. And he said, your brain is great. It just needs some rewiring. Trauma is real.
Yes.
And that's for me. I'm going like, who are you? Where did you come from? Mm-hmm. But like him understanding that and then reminding me of that was really important. Mm-hmm. So I do feel fucked up.
There are some times that I just want to crawl out of my body to take a break.
Yeah.
Like I'll do the healing. I'll do the hard work. I'm down for it. But sometimes I just need a break outside of my body, which I know sounds weird.
But I completely get it.
Of course you do. Yeah.
So we have been on a couple of dates and things are going well. Like it's easily like, wow, this is different. This feels like this is great. Mm-hmm. This is going well. And so, but we're not ready for commitment yet. Mm-hmm. It's still really early. We both have kids and there's a lot more than just two adult hearts involved.
Right. And
there's a lot more, like there's a lot, like when you add kids to the mix, even though the kids aren't going to be there forever, it adds a whole nother layer of, we need to take our time. Mm-hmm. Because if we don't do this well and it ends ugly, we've got a bunch of other hearts involved.
Yes.
And I can't speak for his kids, but I'm going to for mine. They will get attached fast, which I'm not against them having relationships with people that will come and go in their life. We all have that. Mm-hmm. But I want to be careful about it so it's not done inappropriately, mm-hmm. if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we're in this middle ground of talking about big, heavy things, mm-hmm. future, if we're compatible in these areas, right? But not yet committed. And what I'm realizing is that is a very uncomfortable space for me.
Really?
I am very insecure. I am very uncomfortable in that space because in my head, safety is in the commitment.
Okay.
And safety is not here where we're at. Because he could just get up and leave at any time, which obviously when you're committed, he can still do. But for some reason, that has this like safety thing around it.
That's funny because my brain works opposite of that.
Oh, really? Okay, explain that.
Before I was committed to my boyfriend, there was safety in not being committed.
It's so weird.
Because either of us could just walk out the door at any time, and that felt safer to me. I know how this sounds. I'm very well aware.
I love that we have had
then like we are boyfriend and girlfriend and we are committed. Like there's like, I don't know. It's not marriage and it's not rings, but like there's some invisible, there's like, like
pressure
constricting. I don't know.
What if you want to go date somebody else or just like what?
No, what if I wake up one day and I don't like you anymore? Like, it's a very
what if you breathe really wrong thing. And I'm done? That's so funny that we have the opposite. Yeah. Like our experiences in our marriages were really, really like almost identical.
Yes.
And yet we had these completely opposite. Like I remember the beginning of your relationship, there were so many triggers mm-hmm. in the physical part. Right. And mine are in this part, in the non-physical part. It's in the other stuff. It's in feeling confident in myself and like, I'm the one going, what if you stop liking me tomorrow? And he's like, why would that all of a sudden happen? I was like, I don't know. I breathe wrong. I look at you. I text you and you're like, oh, she's so annoying. It's wild that we have these very different experiences.
It is.
But it's super unpleasant. It is super unpleasant to have been, we're almost 6 years. We're coming up on 6 years.
That's
I mean, we
crazy.
have several months, but life is moving fast. But
It
we're
is.
coming up on 6 years of doing this singling life. And to feel like I'm starting over in healing is a lot. That was really discouraging. But I think you and I were talking about it a couple days ago, and it was more of like, when you're healing with somebody, it's separate than when you're healing with yourself. So me feeling like I'm starting over feels accurate because I am. I haven't done this before. I haven't dated somebody where we had future. Like we were into each other enough that the future was a possibility.
Right. There's only so much. We knew there was going to be only so much healing we could do on our own. And there were going to be different parts that we were going to need to address and heal when we were with someone.
Yeah.
We just didn't expect it to be so much.
Yeah. Well,
So
so
many
there,
things.
yeah, it was. So I'll try and be as vague as possible just because other people are involved in this. But there was a conversation that him and I had where I'm asking questions and they're personal questions. And he wasn't rude or disrespectful, but he pushed back. Like, what is the reason for these questions? What is the point of this? And I love that he did that because I stopped and I thought, and I was like, what is the purpose of me asking these questions? And it's about our, like, each other's pasts that don't have anything to do with our present. And I was like, to hurt my own feelings, to help create the negative narrative that my brain is so desperately trying to find and create. Because that's the thing is, unless he's like talking to me or like sitting there and telling me, this is fun, I like this, my brain goes, he's lying to you. He was just kidding. He's just doing this out of obligation. He doesn't actually feel this way. His mom's paying him to do it. Or your mom's paying him to do it. Right? Like, it doesn't matter. Like, there's so many dark thoughts that come in my head that are just like swooping in at any chance it can to derail happiness. So him pushing back made me go, why am I? I'm like, oh, this is to hurt my feelings, to help write the story that my brain thinks.
Yes.
And so that spiraled me into this situation of going like, oh, there is so much I need to heal here. I need to get this under control. And I just happened to have an appointment with this new energy worker I was going to go see because we love Jared. There's nothing wrong with Jared.
Right.
Jared is expensive, far away, and it is hard to get in to see him. So,
I know. I'm number 250 on the waiting list still.
2 years later. So I happened to have this appointment and I was like, okay. And so I had a phone conversation with him that morning. And I was like, I'm going to take today and I'm going to heal. I'm going to go to this energy worker. I'm going to pray. I'm going to journal. I'm going to be very intentional with working on this. And not talking to him helps with my anxious attachment and my need for validation all the time. Because if I'm not getting validation from him, that's when the dark thoughts come in.
Okay.
And so if I'm not going to hear from him. My brain's not going, what does this mean? Why is he quiet? What's happening? What is, like, it's not creating a negative story. I'm going, he's respecting my boundary. He's respecting that I'm saying, I'm going to check in with you tomorrow. I'm so sorry. I'm so popular. It's work, but whatever. And that conversation was beautiful and wonderful because he shared some things with me that were like, he's like, these are, whether the triggers of mine or concerns. And he's like, are you pulling away from me? And I'm like, no, this is me stepping back to heal things that I need to do by myself so that I can come back and continue to see if we're compatible.
Right.
And I was really proud of myself for that because as somebody who's anxious attached and really but at that point, I will say needs that validation to soothe my body, to step away from that. I was like, high five, Gina.
Absolutely.
Like, that was such a growing moment for me. So I go to the energy worker and it was amazing. It was so good. We did red light therapy and we talked about a lot of stuff, and she re-energized this idea of mental health that you and I have talked about a bunch, but I have definitely slacked on the way that I talk, the words that I use. So I kept saying my divorce and my trauma. And she goes, no, That is the divorce, and that is trauma you've experienced. You don't own them. So just the little slight words, the way that we're taking ownership, they're taking up space in our bodies, which means they're there all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So she's reminding me of that. She's reminding me of just how important it is to sit and be still and to breathe and meditate. And we did some breath work, and she was teaching me how important it is to nose breathe. Mouth breathers are unhealthy.
Oh,
We need to nose breathe
okay.
because of the where the air goes and how it's filtered
Mm-hmm.
is really important for our
I've been
brains.
thinking about that since you told me that last week. Sometimes that's really hard for me.
Yeah. I think it's a trauma thing
Really?
because it's like a panic, like I have to get air in quickly. And so we use our mouths.
And I
instead
can't, and I can't get enough through my nose.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a practice. It is a practice.
It's hard.
It's very hard, which is weird because it's literally breathing.
Right.
Like,
Good. Even our breathing is a trauma response. Oh, man.
but the way that we were talking and the way that she validated some of the things and the way that she was like, she just complimented a lot of things about me that helped me feel like I can do this. I have way more control over my body. Because I was telling her, I was like, my skin hurts. So when you were like, I want to come out of my body, that's how I felt. I was like, the way this insecurity feels, my skin hurts.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to get out of it. I don't like it. To have worked so hard on self-esteem and being secure in the non-dating part of my life,
Right.
to then be thrown back into probably what it felt like to be married.
Mm.
It didn't feel good.
Yeah.
But it's like, those people who just like, you're living an unhealthy life and then you get healthy and you're like, oh, wow, I didn't realize how crappy I felt. It's kind of what that feels like, I think.
Okay.
So anyway, so I journaled and talked to God, and she just gave me exercises, and I'm doing a lot more. Like when I start to overthink and spiral, I stop and I breathe.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that that's all from the devil. Those thoughts are not from God.
Absolutely.
The good and the light are from God. And so when I said there's darkness, and I'm like, and it's not darkness like in my marriage where that was like evil and like really gross.
Real dark.
But she was like, the fact that you recognize that that is darkness means we are going to be able to move through this so much faster. And I was like, you're welcome for having trauma other places too. But so not giving it power.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked before about bringing things to light. And so sometimes I bring things to light with him, and sometimes I'll do it with you, because just voicing them gets rid of their power.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't need to do anything else. There's no solution that needs to be had. It's just going, this is a thought in my head. And then I say it and I'm going, and that was dumb and not accurate. And we're moving on.
Yeah, because darkness cannot survive in light.
Yeah. So anyway, the hard part is I still have those things and I still have to work on it. And so I'm physically having to stop and breathe and pay attention to these things. But I also have to like raise my kids and work and take care of my house and my business. And like, I still have to do all those other things, and it's exhausting.
It is exhausting. And it's when you have that moment where you can feel the spiral, and you can just feel like the energy building inside you, and you need to stop and breathe, but like you can't, because there's 6 of them all around you, and some of them are touching you, and somebody's got a knife, and like right? I mean, somebody else has a match. Like, what is happening? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Absolutely. Or it's like the middle of the night and you're like, what? I'm so tired right now. I can't think. But it's wild. So I'm learning that I have to take care of myself in that way until my body gets used to it. Right.
Right.
Until we've got a more automated system. And I know that's possible because we've worked really hard, and we do that now with our other parts of our lives. There's so many things that, I don't know if you remember this, but we would have to do the same thing. We'd have to stop and breathe and remind ourselves, I'm safe. We're safe.
Yes.
And we'd have to stop and do that. And now we just live.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know I can get there. And now it's just a battle of what things do I bring to him and say, hey, I'm having a hard time with this.
Right.
And what things do I need to work on by myself?
Mm-hmm.
And he is amazingly patient. And that alone, I'm like, that should be like, you're a lot. And that's okay to be a lot. I'm not saying it's bad, but like, this is a lot to deal with. And I feel like if he hated me the way that the thoughts tell me that he hates me, he'd be like, so I'm going to go. Like, this was great and all.
Right.
Thanks for the milkshake. I know. But instead, he's patient and kind and reminds me, we got to just rewire some stuff.
Yes.
And that's
and
okay.
that takes time, apparently. Apparently.
How much time, Julia?
Well, I'm 2 years into dating my boyfriend. And we are still dealing with things and having to heal things and rewire things. It is not as often as it was in the beginning.
Oh, good. Because this is miserable.
It's not as often. And the majority of it is not as big.
Is me going through it triggering for you?
No.
Okay. I was just wondering. Not that I would stop telling you because I'm so sorry that you picked this, but this is what you have to deal with. But I was just wondering if you're like, oh, I remember that. And you're like, oh, that feels gross.
No.
Because I'll say stuff and your boyfriend will be like, he's like, I remember those days.
Yeah. But we were dealing with something the other day and we worked through it. And I was telling him, I was like, this is so frustrating that 2 years in that we're still having to do these things. And he looked at me and he was like, you're expecting 2 years of healing, 2 years of us being together to heal your 13-year abusive narcissistic marriage? And I was like, yes, absolutely, 100%. It should have been done a year ago.
And what did you told me that? And I was like, right at the same time, we're both like, yes. You're like, see, you get it.
You get it.
Obviously, we should be done with this now. We have a weekend. Let's go.
Right.
Clear the calendar. Let's get it
Pack
done.
it all in.
Because having to start over, quote unquote, start over is really frustrating. Even though we're not starting over, we're hitting a whole other aspect of life, like you said, that we can't tap into until we've got that partner. I would not have known that I would be this insecure about things or that I would need this much validation without living it.
Right.
Without having somebody who's sitting there going like, hey, you're a neat girl. And I'm going, am I? Because you tell me that. And I'm like, you have to say that. Right? Like we've already worked through it. We moved here,
I don't
so.
have to do anything I don't want to.
That is really frustrating. And I don't know if that gives me hope or discouragement that you're still dealing with it 2 years later. Because like the hope that it's not that often and that you guys work through it and that it's still a healing process, or that what your boyfriend said is totally true. Like why would we expect 13 years of abuse to be healed in 2 years? Even though we've almost been doing this 6 years, and I think we forget that we still have things come up from our marriage that's not about our relationships with a significant other.
Yes.
And we're still doing the same thing. I don't know why it'd be different with dating. Maybe because there's somebody else and we're like, you fix it.
I know.
You're here, you fix it.
It's really hard going through it, but we're choosing to heal all of these things.
Yeah.
So every time we go through something or talk through something, it's like, it's a win.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's funny how it was a couple days ago, like with it being really early, I'm still learning to ask for what I want. I'm still learning to figure out what I want.
Right.
And what I need. And then I have to now go, is this worth asking for? What if he says no? What if he kicks me out of the car? What if he doesn't let me have dessert? Like there's so many things.
Right.
And so I'm having to learn to be brave and trust. Like that's how you learn how to trust people, is giving them opportunities to show up. And we've talked about, actions and words need to align. I have to give him the opportunity to showcase that.
Right. I told you this morning, I was like, did he tell you can't ask?
He said, you may not ask for anything. By the way, this is a one-way road.
Did he say that?
Oh my gosh. We were on a walk the other day and I don't remember, he was asking about my birthday. And I was just like, I don't know, what do you want to do? He's like, it's your birthday. I was like, right. But like other people need to be happy too. He's like, oh, weird. You're uncomfortable about things being about you. I'm like, I don't like it. It's uncomfortable. Because what if other people don't like it?
Shit out of luck. Don't come.
It's so dumb. But like, I just love that he recognizes it. But there was, so one of the things I'm learning is that, and it's really hard for me to say because it's still very insecure and very raw. And it has not been a conversation him and I have had yet. But when, like, we're both busy, we both have kids, he travels for work, and I've now started my job more full-time on top of everything else I'm doing, on top of dog breeding. Like we're still doing all the things, but now one of my jobs is full-time. So we're adjusting to that. And it's draining. It's very draining. Anyway, so we're both very pissy. And so not hearing, like, so a lot of times we just are texting a little bit throughout the day, and that's the only communication we have. And if I go too long with that, the dark thoughts really come in. And so I remember one night I was Marco pulling you, and I was like, I don't want to heal anymore. I'm done. I think I'm going to tell him I don't want to see him anymore because this is stupid and I hate it. He's great.
Right.
I don't want to do this anymore. This is exhausting. And then I think he called me that night, and I was like, just kidding. Everything's fine. Like, we had no serious conversation.
Disregard my last Marco Polo.
Delete it. Just delete it. So it's hard for me, I'm just nervous to ask because I don't know how. I don't know how.
You just ask.
I know.
You just do it. You literally just ask. I would love to connect more. Could we do a call before bed?
So I'm immediately in my head, he's going, that's a lot. And I'm like, I just need 2 minutes. And he's just like, I can't. Like, I'm role playing the negative already.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, he, like, just this morning, he's like, I'm really excited to connect with you today. Like, he's coming over for my birthday dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'm really excited to connect with you today. And I'm like, oh, so you like me. But, like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I am waiting. I am just waiting for the other shoe to drop. I am self-sabotaging by asking questions that aren't necessary, that are going to just create my own hurt feelings. I am spiraling with thoughts that have nothing to do with anything he said or done.
Mm-hmm.
He is consistent. And so far, and it hasn't been that much time, but so far, his words and his actions match. He makes time to see me. He's happy to hear from me.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're on the phone and he's like, I really like talking to you. And then I hang up and I was like, oh, he was bored the whole time. Like, it's ridiculous.
Right.
But yeah, I'm recognizing, I'm learning how to figure out what I want and need. And the next step is asking for it. And that one is so freaking scary because I didn't get that in my marriage.
Right.
That was a dangerous space.
Mm-hmm.
And so I stopped looking to see what I wanted and needed and stopped asking and became a shell of a person.
I know sometimes that phase of figuring out what you need is so difficult, right?
Well, we were told we were selfish.
You've asked me before, and my boyfriend's asked me, what do you need? Or what do you need? And so there are times I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah. Well, I think it's because we were told we were selfish.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many times that I was told that, like, me doing, just being, I don't know, I can't remember, which is good. So I don't want to dig into that.
Right.
But I just remember the way that I would spend my day or the way that I would spend time with my kids. My ex would come home from work or come from up downstairs, and his comment was like, what have you done all day? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And like, if I wanted to do anything for myself, I had to, like, pay for it. And so that made me feel like everything I did was selfish. And then I was told, why do you need so much? You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so you play small so you don't have to deal with that anymore. And you don't take care of yourself. And when you're by yourself and you learn to take care of yourself, do you know, like, how much time did it take for us to learn how to do that and be okay with taking time away from our kids to train or to go for walks or to meal prep just for us and not them? Like, just different things that were just for us.
Yes.
Or to spend time with your boyfriend away from your kids.
Mm-hmm.
That took a lot of time.
Mm-hmm.
And so now I have to, like, include somebody else who could potentially be like, that's too much for me, which my logical brain is going, good, this is a space you're not compatible. If he can't give you 5 minutes every couple of days just to remind you the connection that we have over the phone, then this isn't a good match.
Right.
My brain feels that. My body and my heart are just like, no, that's not it.
And all of that has to be rewired and retrained, and those thoughts have to be controlled, right?
Yeah.
What are his words? Trust his words, verify with his actions, right? And then control your thoughts about it. And that is a lot easier said than done. But that is a big thing that helps me. Yeah. That's something that I can focus on and go, nope, this story's not true. The story that I'm telling myself in my head, the lies, these are not true, because this is what he said. These are what his actions have been. And over the last 2 years, his words and his actions have never not matched.
So at what point do you involve him in the needing help to, like, self-soothe or to have validation or affirm that the reality is not what's the playing in your head?
I think that can look different for different people. So I don't think there's like a black and white template of
sure.
you should do this.
Right.
For me, what it looks like is that I do try to self-soothe first.
You have a really hard time saying that.
I do. I haven't had coffee yet. I need more.
Self-soothe.
Self-soothe.
I'm so sorry to derail. That was so funny though.
Most of the time I will work on that. So, and what that looks like for me, is that a bug? Did you just get a
It was
bug
hair.
off of me?
You're
Okay.
fine. Self-soothe.
Is controlling my thoughts, right? Not letting them get, so if they get too far, things get really big and I get
spiral?
I spiral.
Yeah.
I get really emotional. And then I go to him and I'm like, I have really big feelings right now. And I don't know, like, I feel like a toddler sometimes coming in and he's like, do you want to talk about it? I'm like, I don't have words. They're just, everything's really big right now.
Just really a lot of feelings.
And just, yeah.
Sweet Ada, who's a neighbor of ours, has Down syndrome. I saw her on Sunday and she looked sad. I was like, oh my gosh, what's wrong? She goes, big feelings. And I was like, same girl.
Yes.
Big feelings. And we just sat there and held each other.
Aww.
I was just like, just so you know, I do the same thing. Like,
Yes.
you are not alone. Big
Yes.
feelings. We're just gonna say that now.
Mhm.
We're having a hard day.
But it helps
feelings.
to say it out loud. As
It does.
silly as it sounds, as toddler as it sounds, right? Just saying, I have really big feelings right now and I don't have words.
Yeah.
That helps
Okay.
so much. So much.
Well, it's that, is it part of the idea of bringing things to the light?
Mhm.
Not
Yeah.
letting things stay in the dark? Because that's something too. And when I know that I don't want to tell you something, I know that's when I really need to tell you something.
Yes.
Because then you can either speak truth to me or tell me that I'm fine.
Yeah.
And so that, but yeah, I there's a lot of things where I'm nervous to take things to him because I'm going, can I take care of this myself?
Mm-hmm.
But then I also, the times that I have brought stuff to him, he's been so great about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I even say, I was like, we don't even need to solve this. I just needed to bring it to the light. And
Yeah.
he's like, great, let's go.
Yeah.
Like,
I just needed to talk, or I just needed to hear your voice. Sometimes that's all it is. So I think that self-soothing is a incredible skill and something that everybody should work on. I also think one of the benefits that God gives us through our partners is being able to do that together as well. We just don't want to use that as a crutch.
And that's the part that I'm trying to figure out. When do I go to him and say, I need some validation right here? Or when do I go, you need to figure this out for yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be a road that's going to be hard for me.
Yeah.
But hopefully as him and I grow together, it becomes natural what he's available for and where I get stronger with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But even like I said, just even sometimes just a phone call is, I'm like, no, we're fine. He doesn't even say anything like
Right.
important.
That's it. And
It's just hearing his voice. And it's that connection. It's reminding myself there's a connection here.
yes.
There's an important connection here that I need to rely on.
Mhm.
So, but self-soothing is really hard. There's
It
a
is.
lot of like physical practices, like holding, like having a hand on your chest, hand on your stomach and breathing a certain way, giving
Mhm.
yourself a hug,
Right.
things like that. I really wish that eating a cookie did that for me.
Oh, that would be amazing.
Maybe if we put the energy into that, like this cookie is self-soothing.
we
and
should
then
try it. For
okay.
science.
for science.
For them. For our
For the
listeners.
podcast.
Yes. For
You're
work.
welcome. Oh my gosh.
For work.
For work.
It is.
I love how we have to justify eating a cookie. We are ridiculous. Because we can eat cookies whenever.
Oh, we could.
See, we're still healing things.
We could eat cookies for breakfast if we wanted.
Been there, done that.
For me, saying things out loud really helps. I'm
Okay.
fine. He's fine.
Yeah.
All of the kids are fine. Everybody's fine.
Do you
There's
use
no
the word
danger.
fine? Because there's a lot of sarcasm with the word fine. So do you use fine or do you use a different word?
I use fine a lot because if I use good, I feel like I'm trying too hard. I can't explain it.
I totally get you. Like, don't get your hopes too high.
I'm like,
Don't overshoot.
I could be putting a facade on. I don't know.
We're reaching toxic positivity. At this
Sometimes I
point.
use the word okay instead of fine,
We're not dying. He's not dying. I'm not dying.
but I can't say great. That's not everybody is great all the time. I'd be lying to myself.
I'm dying right now. This is so funny. We have to save words like fabulous and wonderful, like food. How we
Yes.
feel about food.
Yes.
Humans, not so much.
Yeah. But also
Literal tears. I have literal
I know.
tears that you're just like, I have
know.
to use fine. So
because then I might not, if I'm already having thoughts like there's danger or I feel unsafe
Oh
or
my
things are not okay, coming to we're fine. everything's fine. It feels calm.
Okay. Middle ground.
It feels, calm, middle
Reachable.
ground. If we're going good, we've got like other feelings happening on the other spectrum, and there's too many feelings all over the place.
Get neutral. We just need to get neutral.
Yeah, more of like a homeostasis.
Homeostasis.
Yes, homeostasis or grounding. Like, we're fine. Everything is fine. Breathe.
The thing is, we just use like, I'm fine. We're fine. Everything's fine. And we use it so aggressively as sarcasm. So I'm like, where are we? What kind of fine is this? Oh, I love that. It's such a good idea, though. I need to practice that more, and I need you to remind me more. So when I'm spiraling, go do your breathing exercises.
Sometimes I need to say it to him, though, which sometimes can feel silly at first.
That's the
Because
part that it
sometimes
feels silly.
I need to see his face, and I need to see his eyes, and I need to say, I'm fine. We're fine. Right? And he sits there, and
what happens if he says, we're great? Then you're like, nope. Liar. This is what's exciting, though, because I want to end, like, I feel like this is a good conversation. I feel like I'm learning a lot of things, and I love that I'm taking charge of it. I'm not just sitting in it. I'm like, no, we're doing better. Mm-hmm. Because if this is my person, I don't want to miss out on amazing things and amazing time and amazing growth. I don't want to slow down our process because I'm not willing to grow and heal.
Right.
But there's, like, I'm really excited. So today's my birthday, and we're having birthday dinner, and he's coming and I'm excited to see how he fits in.
I'm so excited he's going to be here for your 21st birthday. It's going to be so fun.
I know. It's great.
Yeah.
21.
But he's going to get to see like what a birthday celebration looks like for our families.
Yeah. The kids are going to be ridiculous. I'm excited for it.
Okay. My kids may or may not have a list.
Oh, of what?
Of things that they want to do when they see Rick for the first time. Hang out with Rick for the first time.
Oh, dear.
I'm not supposed to tell you about it, though. So if you rat me out, I'm going to call you a liar. I'm like, she got the password to your phone. I don't know. Like, literally, there's a notes.
Oh, dear. Yeah. That's all right. They can't embarrass me any more than my kids have already embarrassed me.
I'll go through it later tonight before dinner and make sure that we're not going to, like, I don't know, soak his underwear in meat sauce or something.
Question. How are you getting his underwear off?
It's from a movie.
Still, but there's so many steps beforehand. I'm like, is it from Step Brothers?
No, it's from Cheaper by the Dozen.
Oh, I've seen that one. Why do I not know it? Oh, that's the thing, though. Between you and your boyfriend, me, and this guy that I'm seeing, we have 20 children.
20.
20. 20. That's all.
Just a couple.
It's fine.
It's cool.
Totally fine. But it'll just be like, so far, the times that he's spent with people that are important to me, it's like he fits in well. Mm-hmm. And so it's just exciting. It's like, that's the thing, is what I don't want is all of this healing and growth, which is good, but it's hard and it's painful, and I know it's worth it. I don't want to take away like the fun,
right,
and the joy of getting to like date somebody, and that's where I feel like I've missed out already on so much of the fun part because I'm overthinking. So
there are moments that are meant to heal, and there are other moments where you need to just let go and enjoy.
Yeah.
But
so
it's hard to go back and forth between
it is. And I so eagerly want to heal quickly that I miss out on the fun. And so like we went on a date and we just went for a walk around the park, and we didn't have any serious conversations. We were silly and fun. Like I was swinging on the swings and he didn't, which is whatever. But he's like, I would get so dizzy. I'm like,
listen, maybe
suck it up.
I can barely swing on the swings.
Oh, fine. You have to keep me humble and remind me that we can't all match on everything.
It's true.
But
if there's only one swing, he's never going to steal it from you.
It's true.
It will always be yours.
Perfect. But I was even earlier today, I was like, man, I wish we had this conversation. We should have this conversation so I can get past this part of the healing process. And I'm like, no, I get to just have fun. Like, it doesn't all have to be work.
But I would, if there was an option, I'm just saying, if there was an option where God was like, if you want to do 13 years of healing in a year, and it's just going to be hard and miserable, and I'd absolutely sign up for it.
For sure. But then we're not revisiting after that. We're done.
We're done. No, you're done. And then after that, you can have all the fun and joy. And I would absolutely sign up for that option.
Sure.
But apparently it doesn't work that way.
Apparently. Okay. I am grateful for, I don't even know what. I kind of have an abundance of gratitude right now. I am grateful that I get to feel light because there has been a lot of darkness the last 6 months. And the new job situation and the new boy situation and even this opportunity to heal has so much light involved in it. And it's really nice to feel light. And I'm really grateful that God works the way that he does.
I love that. I am thankful that in between all of the healing, God gives us moments to breathe and laugh and have fun. Because some of it is really heavy and really hard. And some of it feels like it just comes one after the other.
Rapid fire.
Yes. So I'm thankful that there are breaks in between where there are times where I'm like, we had a really good weekend. This was awesome.
Good.
Thankful for that.
Yeah, we need those breaks because healing's a bitch.
Yeah, she is.
All right. Well, do you have a question?
Oh,
I have one. How do you self-soothe? I need all the tips I can get.
Okay.
How do you self-soothe?
I love that.
Okay.
Until next time.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.